I'd like to introduce a guest who's going to be the centerpiece of a very special purge ceremony tonight. This person has threatened to dismantle everything that we new founding fathers have done. We must rid ourselves of the negative emotions that she has stirred inside. We must stop her from poisoning our great country by taking away our freedoms.
Welcome back to the Hiding for Horrors podcast, where we review horror movies and horror franchises. I'm Mark.
I'm Tuan.
And today we're reviewing The Purge Election Year, released in 2016, written and directed by James DeMonaco. Tuan, can you give the people the plot summary?
The Purge Election Year movie follows a U.S. Senator named Charlene Roan, otherwise known as Charlie Roan, who is running for president and promising to end the Purge-nites. Roan lost her family as a teenager in the Purge and is now determined to end it. Former police sergeant Leo Barnes is now head of security for Roan as they survive the Purge.
Purge Election Year. This was an interesting take on the franchise, getting to see how politicized the Purge is, but also making it jump 18 years, but
Yeah,
still using characters from the previous movies, and uh they still look the same 18 years on. But we look past that.
that's so weird. Like that honestly makes no sense, to be quite honest, because like they could have made whatever they could have made the Charlie Roan situation happen at any time.
Mhm.
Like it ain't like she just had to be um in 2040 whatever. I'm like
She
that
really
shit ain't,
didn't. I mean,
like it didn't make no sense. Especially Leo looking the exact same from the movie we just saw him in.
they could have said that whatever happened to her happened during the first or second purge. Like, it didn't have to be purge number 8 or 9. Like, they didn't have to
Exactly.
jump out the window like that. So
Yeah. Or she could have just been in like her 20s when it happened. Like it didn't have to be any time period. Like I don't know. That was kind of silly to me. Like 2040 is a huge ass jump, especially with the character that we already had. Like Frank Grillo was already definitely in his 40s by this time. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
so now you're supposed to think
So
that he's like, it's weird. It's
he should be like 60. He should be like 60, which I think that's
yes.
his. Now that I'm looking, that's his age IRL. He's 59. He's about to be 60 this year.
And he's gonna be in the next one, allegedly. So
And the next one is also a time jump.
yes. So is this gonna be a clone? Make him a clone. I will.
At this point, fuck it.
But I know I went into this. I remember avoiding trailers, avoiding spoilers, which was really easy for me to do back in 2016 because I wasn't chronically on all the sites and shit. But I avoided all of that. So I kind of thought it was going to be we were going to see some senators and House representatives in Congress battling to the death, or we're going to be seeing people in Washington going batshit crazy on each other, which has happened. So crazy shit has happened in Washington. So that's what I thought I was going to get. And I remember being kind of disappointed when I saw it in theaters, but it's still a good movie. It's just the time jump of it all is it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, it just was kind of like the thing is the time jump added nothing. There was nothing of value added with the time jump. It literally feels
Yeah,
like it literally feels like it took place a couple years after the Purge Anarchy, especially because we're still with Leo, and there's no noticeable aging changes that they even made to him to make him look 20 years younger at an already middle-aged man.
Yeah, it really didn't do anything. I feel like if they want to keep that continuity going, they should have had the kid from the second movie, the girl.
Hmm.
You could have kept her, and because she was really interested in what Leo was doing, and you saw that Leo and her mom were getting close. So you could have put like they end up getting together, and he trained her, and now she's out protecting the senator. That would have made
You
so much
know,
more
you
sense.
know, Mark. I kind of fucks with that.
I'm just because if you want to keep that thread going, then you had someone, you had the next generation right there who could have done it, and she could have just like looked at a photo of her mom and stepdad. Like, you could have just done anything but what they did because the time jump, like you said, it added nothing, but it also just made it all confusing. Don't confuse me, just entertain me, please. But do you have any further thoughts?
Well, overall, I'd say that this one I thought was pretty good. I did like the whole, like, I guess you could call it the twist of the movie being that um all limits were off for anybody, so anybody could have got it in this one, which is which when you realize like the reasoning behind that, just so they could take out
Some
a political
petty,
opponent,
petty
you
ass
know
shit.
that's some real shit though. Like
It really is. That
like
would
I
happen.
can't. Like when I seen it, I was like, "Damn, that's crazy." Because
But you know what? Oh my bad. Go ahead.
these,
Go ahead.
I'm like these motherfuckers crazy enough. They would do that. Just they would risk themselves like dying to put their opponent at risk.
Facts. And because you mentioned it last week episode that like how we have to thank. I mean, we mentioned about like the costumes and how we're being bombarded with the purge costumes every Halloween. I
Hmm.
feel like this is the movie that kicked it off
Yeah.
with those damn candy girls. The amount of
Oh,
for years up until the pandemic, I saw those fucking girl costumes with the mask and it being like all cut up and low. Like it was. This is the movie that trapped us with the fucking purge costumes, and I will not forgive it for that reason.
yeah. This one definitely ramped that up like heavily. Like
A
I
hundred
remember,
percent.
I definitely remember like those masks being so everywhere during Halloween. Um, I just searched them like the Purge Halloween costume. The first thing that came up was them two girls.
I feel like every girl that I know or knew had that costume at least once in rotation. Never failed.
That's so funny. Otherwise, though, this one fell more in line with Anarchy, especially because I feel like you kind of mentioned this after Anarchy. Like Anarchy, they kind of found like a flow for these movies, and I feel like this one kind of if it really just felt like an extension of Anarchy. Like if you had put both, if you had put both of these like next to each other and didn't tell anybody, they probably would think it was just one movie.
Yeah,
Because
but
they really feel similar.
I mean, but also I feel like Anarchy. Again, because that first movie is such just like a formulaic home invasion movie.
Mm,
Outside of outside of the like the convenience of the purge, you can like just ignore that entire movie. 'Cause
yeah,
I feel like they found a formula with Anarchy where they have a group of survivors who gather together or who magically find each other and be all together by the halfway point in the movie and they ride it out. One or two of them dies, and then the rest just like battle it out to the end. That's what happened in Anarchy. That's what happened to this one. I feel like they follow that same formula for the next like two movies. So they definitely found their groove in with Anarchy. It's just again like the time jump just makes it weird with this one.
yeah. But I feel like I did like the story in this one, like how they were going about it, and um, like I will say, I feel like it had more of a story than Anarchy. Like I feel like Anarchy was just not saying it's bad because I definitely cashed it. I'm just saying like it was very light. Like it was just there was just a tiniest enough like strings woven together to like get something done to like get all those people together. Whereas in this one, it was a little more reasoning as to like why okay they're outside for a reason, like they just tried to get ambushed, like they gotta leave, so it made more sense for some of the reasonings in this one, I
I
guess you could
feel
say.
like with the second one, with the one from last week, I think they were more. I think it was more like they didn't know how much the fans wanted to see. Because going from that claustrophobic, like intimate first one, now we're opening the world with the second one. And I think they weren't sure like how much we really wanted to see. And
Hmm.
after the response of that first one, they're like, "Well, shit, they want us to go batshit crazy, so let's go batshit crazy with it. Let's give them more. Let's dive in more. Let's give them more kills, more story, more more plot to follow." Which I like. Okay, yeah, give me that. Like, I want to see all the kills, but also give me more of the story. We can handle the story and the kills. We can take both. Give us both, please. And they
Yeah.
did. With this one being called election year, I kind of want it more political because I feel like this whole story, like this is being politicized, and I just felt like we already saw the ground level stuff in the second one, so why not give us a more like political view in this one? Did that make any sense?
I get what you mean, but I feel as though we want
I don't think it would
it
have
was
been as
pretty,
good.
yeah, and it was pretty political. Honestly, I feel like the next one gets the most political, the first
Yeah,
purge.
I was thinking that as I was saying it, but I was just trying to like stay in this one. But yeah, the first purge that we definitely get more of like a political view with the first purge.
Yeah, but I mean, I get what you mean. But they kind of, I'll say they kind of just use that more as, I guess, a framing device in this one than anything. Which, I mean, it does work. But also, since we're only following Charlie, like Charlie, Ron, and Leo, like as our mains, that whole aspect of like politicians able to be killed and stuff didn't really come into fruition more until like the end of the movie, of course,
Hmm.
where where it like helped them out so that they could kill the people trying to kill her. But it didn't really we didn't really see anything else of it. It could have been something like maybe she had other like senators or something with her at the time. Like I don't know, just something to show that
Or
it was really
even
off limits.
or even like the person who decided to say, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to we're going to drop our special feeling, our special immunity from this, and we're going to just put all of us at risk to get this bitch." But then as soon as the alarm sounds, he's the first one to get popped. Like, oh shit, damn, okay, we did this, but now that means all bets are off. Not just us trying to get her, but also now we can get got. That would also made
Mm,
it a little bit. I just feel like for them to make that big switch and to like base the whole plot of the movie around that switch, I wanted to see more politicians get it. We only saw what, one, two, and then her being chased down. I wanted to see at least two of the founding fathers go down.
yeah.
Well, let's move on to scenes and kills. What are any scenes or kills that stood out for you? Okay, before you go, I do want to say the opening scene I do not like because what was the ADR?
My Purge playlist. I put a lot of thought into it, especially this final tune, as it'll be the last song you'll ever hear. A tough choice.
The ADR was weird. Like, why was that? why was he like that? What was that? It was pissing me off. Like, dude, it took me out of the movie because I was like, what is this? Like, it was a little off. It didn't ruin it, but like, it took away from like the murdering that was happening in the scene because I was just
Hmm.
like, his voice was pissing me off. But also, like outside of the voice, when you get to like what's happening in the scene, and he's like making the mom choose which one's gonna live. Like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, that was crazy.
that was insane. So like, one of your kids is gonna live, and the rest of you are gonna die. Please shoot me immediately after I make this decision because I do not want to see the kid you're gonna kill before you kill him because they're gonna look at me. I can't. That scene had a mix of like good and bad in it for me. From the ADR was bad, but the decision that had to be made was good and intense, and I was like, I can't believe they were doing this. What about you? Are there any scenes or kills that stood out, good, bad, or indifferent, head scratchy?
I mean, how could we not talk about our good sis, Candy Bar Girl? When she pulled over her little friends, like, weren't they playing like "We Can't Stop" by Miley Cyrus or something?
No, I thought it was part of the USA.
Yes, there we go. Party in the USA. I knew it was a Miley Cyrus song. I knew it was a Miley Cyrus song, but like, pull it up to pull it up into Party in the USA. I remember I saw that for the first time. That took me out. That was honestly so fucking funny. And like just her delivery of "I want my candy bar."
Tooth tonight, and I want my candy bar, and I'm gonna take it.
Like
Okay,
Shawty.
her line deliveries were also sending me. They're pissing me off. She was overacting, and I did like when she was like, "You oh fuck." I was like, she has to die. She has to.
He was so fucking
But
funny, bro.
but going with that scene when old girl mowed they ass down.
So loved it.
I was like,
Get him
yes.
again.
Because I was afraid they were going to have to deal with them through the entire movie. Because previously, we would have to deal with these people for the entire movie. But I'm so glad that they were taken out right away. 'Cause I could not. I could not.
One kill that pissed me off was fucking Dante. Cause
Right?
I don't know, it just felt anticlimactic as hell for him to just die.
Like,
It just didn't feel like warranted. I really did. Which I really didn't even feel anything when he died. I was like, damn, not him. But like, which is crazy because he's the only one who went through all these movies with us so far. But
hmm
like, he just got like off, kind of, kind of boring, in a like kind of boring way. And I was not really, I wasn't really fucking with that.
Joe's kill, it didn't give me any emotional, like, oh my God, they killed Joe. Because I kind of knew Joe was going to die when
Mm,
Marco reappeared. And I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. But him dying to protect the senator, in my head, I went, now why does black man just die protecting his white lady?
oh shit!
That's where I went at first. But then I was like, he's a veteran. He's also from the streets. He knows that she's the one who will change. So his sacrifice will be, won't be in vain. But I just feel like his kill could have been more bombastic. Like I would have preferred, like if we have to do this, if he has to sacrifice himself,
Hmm.
the kill could have been bigger and better. And No, I kind of the scene starting with him having like his purge insurance. He can no longer afford his purge insurance.
I was gonna mention that too. Like, bruh.
You go ahead.
No, I just said like raising premiums on Purge Day. Like, what?
That's insane. Like, I'm
Like, what do
coming for
you
you. You know
mean?
what? You know what? Fuck these premiums. Fuck this store. Where do you live at? I'm coming to blow up the whole
Exactly.
organization.
Exactly. Like we reversing the IP address.
Like, also, I meant to ask you this before we hop into the scene section. Because this is an election year, would you have vote? How would you have voted? Pro purge or anti purge candidate?
Anti motherfucking purge, but probably at that point, like it's 2040. My ass would have been moved out of the United States. I'm not
Yes. I'm
like
an
all
illegal immigrant somewhere. I'm gone. You cannot make me go back.
like you got me fucked up. I'm out of this bitch. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I'm out this bitch 2040, and I'm still got to risk being shot every year, or
24
or
years of the purge. Like, no,
like crazy work,
goodbye. I would have mailed in my
crazy
absentee
work.
ballot so fast. Like, here y'all go. I'm voting for that lady. I'm so sorry. Like, that, because also going to it for another scene that stood out for me, you have people coming from other countries to participate.
Murder tourism. It's the new booming business in our country this year.
Is that
Like
okay? Like there should be like this is for Americans only. You cannot fly in to participate in the purge because why are you here?
We're here to experience the purge, to kill, release all the anger and hate. Be like Americans. We're very excited. Ons gaan julle wys hoe die Afrikaners dit doen. Ja, ons kom vir julle.
And I'm like, how does that work? Do you just go back home and you can say, "Yeah, I killed a couple people"? Yeah, when we was purging over in the U.S.
Like,
last year, like,
but like also how and when did you buy your gun, your weapons? You can't bring that shit over on the plane with you. So you've been have you been making trips back and do you have property in America where you bought and stockpiled your weapons? Like I don't understand like that whole scene through like a what the fuck is this? I thought this was just like the American border is closed. Americans kill each other for these 12 hours. It opens back up, everyone's safe, you can travel again. But no, we have people coming in from different countries. How was that okay? I feel
also,
like the founding fathers should have thought about that because that low key pissed me off.
now that I'm thinking about it, how the hell do airports work the next day after the purge?
Right? Because what if y'all peoples are dead? Are there people dead on the tarmac? Are there folks dead at the airport? I'm pretty sure airports are probably closed off or whatever. No, I mean, but what if your main pilot just got whacked? Like I don't understand.
Like, there's so many possibilities with these movies.
Right?
I
Like,
could just think about shit all day. Like,
but
I
let's
could
say
just think
I'm
about shit all day.
but let's say I'm on the flight. I'm coming back from Japan or some shit, and
You just so happen to
like
land during the purge.
not even that. Like while in the flight, like you're still in depending on where you live. Once you enter U.S. airspace, you
Can you pop
know,
off on the plane?
can you pop off on a plane? You still might have 2 hours before you can land, but you're in America technically. So, does the purge cover? Like, I
Does
don't
the
see.
purge cover international air?
like, like I'm trying to understand. Like, but whatever. I guess another scene that stood out for me was the purge candidate, and that whole like that wasn't given. Well, I was about to say it wasn't given political party or political movement, but
Mm,
but IRL, you can't. I don't want to say too much, but I guess it wasn't too far fetched as I thought it would be. So I'm going to move right on. But that whole shootout was insane.
yeah.
But also, like the people walking up with the Nazi patches, like they want the old girl dead. They really wanted her. Did everything they possibly could. But also, I didn't like the fact that I don't remember if it was addressed or not. But what the founding fathers were doing in the last movie, like I know it's been an 18-year jump, but like, did anyone say anything about them having big trucks going around mowing folks down,
True.
kicking in? Like I feel like. That would have been a thread to connect the movies outside of having Leo and Dante come back.
That's true.
And maybe that could have been and to see if this movie was closer in date to that second one, that could have been one of her.
And I said it could have been addressed somehow.
Yeah, and that could have been part of her campaign to get rid of the purge. Like, it's if the purge isn't working to the degree where they have to be out here actively forcing it to work, then we need to get rid of the purge. That could have been part of her campaign, but they dropped the ball heavily. They missed so much, and it makes me mad.
No, I'm with you on that one. Once again, unnecessary time jump.
Let's move on to the characters. First up, we have Lainey.
I thought Lainey was cool. I liked the whole idea of Lainey, like what she was doing, like getting the fucking like big ass truck together and just being a medical provider during a purge. Like when I was saying, like that's some selfless ass shit for real. Like going out during the purge and just assisting where you can with for medical reasons. Like I was like, that's some selfless ass shit. She better than me because I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be here.
I see y'all one
But
bell rings. I'm so sorry.
but I was like, damn, she dope for that. And I just thought like the whole idea of her character was like pretty cool, and especially that she was like a former purger who I guess like turned her life around. But I guess was the reason that she was doing it as well, because of in the past like being like a purger and all that stuff. So it kind of makes sense now that instead of doing it, she's trying to help out people who are like um in trouble like during the actual purge. Plus, I like this actress. She's been in a lot of decent stuff.
I just kind of wanted to see her in action more. Like, we kept on hearing how
Yeah,
badass. Like, yeah, we had a couple scenes, but like I kind of wanted more, and I felt like her character was underutilized. But also, again, going back to the 18-year jump, that could have been the kid from the fucking second movie. That could have been her. She could have got their reputation. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. The same way I thought that Dante should have been Carmelo instead of having Carmelo in the last movie. I felt like we would have been better served if what was her name, Callie, was Laney instead of having Laney. I don't know. It just would have connected things better.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Your idea, sure, like near the beginning, would have made it a bit more sense, like connectivity wise, sans time jump and all that. It definitely would have made more sense for it to be her, like older version of her, same city. Charlie is just running for president while in that city instead of DC. Makes more sense, honestly. But we got what we got.
True. Well, let's move on to Joe and Marco, the shop owner and the worker. The moment Marco appeared, I knew Joe was dead. Like when Marco brought his ass back to the shop, I knew Joe was dead because it was just like I was like, Joe's gonna fight so hard. He's gonna have Marco by his side. And the way Marco's like, we're gonna rebuild the shop. I was like, oh, Joe's gonna die and Marco is gonna take over the shop in his honor. And I was right. And I was like, damn, I guess, seeing Joe, I kind of wanted the same emotional response we got when the old guy sacrificed himself in the last movie.
Hmm.
But like seeing Marco and how close they were, I was like, I'm not gonna get that emotional response because I know Joe's gonna die now. What are your thoughts on the shop duo?
I thought they were a decent little duo. I did I have the same thought as you? I don't really think I did. Um, I really weren't. I really wasn't going into those two dying. If anything, I thought Marco was gonna die since he the one who popped up out of nowhere. To be quite honest with you, I thought he was gonna die because he wasn't even supposed to be there with them. So that's why I thought that was gonna happen. Um, but that was like when he first popped up, and I'm like, oh shit. But once we were kind of getting towards the end and like the situation, I'm like, oh, well, I guess Joe got to be our sacrifice man for the uh for the plot. But I'm also like, why him though? Like for the reasons mentioned earlier, I'm like it could have been Marcos because Marcos was the main one like going on and on about if I'm recalling correctly, he was going on about Charlie like how he was going to vote for her and shit. And am I correct in it? Like how he was like how he felt like she was going to be the change or something. I don't know if I'm mistaken or not. But I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, he was on that. So I thought maybe if something did happen like that, he could have done it just because was um he was like very heavily into like the election and what was going on there with Charlie. But it wasn't bad that it was bad that it was Joe, and I mean Joe definitely served his purpose, especially that middle point when they were with the like around the crypts, and he kind of helped them because they definitely almost all died at that moment when they were getting surrounded before he did their little like special knock and got them the assistance they needed in order to get out.
Well, let's move on to Dante, aka the Stranger. We saw him in the first two movies, and we got a nice reprisal. I say nice, but honestly, he wasn't needed because we brought him back just to kill him. Like we really didn't need this character to be in this movie. I feel like if he had more of a prevalent presence in the second one, his death would have meant more. But we barely saw him in the second one, and we barely saw him in this one. We saw him, then he died. So I didn't really need Dante. What about you? What are your thoughts on Dante?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same. Like it was cool to see him pop up here, but yeah, he really didn't really add much to be quite honest. And it does kind of suck because it's like you do have this character that popped up, which I guess it was more so. Shit, can you call that fan service at that point? I don't know if I'll call it fan service, like because I mean it's only the third movie, and like it's a long ass franchise that was sticking around at this point. But um, yeah, there really wasn't much reason to kind of put him in here, if we're being quite honest, especially just to kill him off as well. Um, but I mean, he didn't. It wasn't like bad that he was here, but I just don't think there was much reason for him to be.
Yeah, I get that. Well, let's move on to Senator Charlie. Now, actually, I like this character because she had like legitimate, good reasoning to want to run for senator and to want to run for president and to want to get rid of the purge. Like her family died on purge night by that crazy sadistic person, and she's valid. Like you want to get rid of the purge, I understand it, I get it, completely valid. But I keep going back to this. I keep going back to this. If she was the daughter from that first movie, I would have liked it more. I just feel like I feel like you know what my issue is, Swan, and to everyone listening. I feel like this movie is afraid to fully connect each movie together. I feel like they use the smallest, tiniest thread to connect the movies, but they won't connect them in a big way outside of like, well, Leo, and then the little small cameo we have from Dante in the first two movies, the second and third movie. I'm just like, yeah, but you could do more. Like most of these characters could have been and should have been returning characters who we previously saw face the purge. Because again, I like Charlie, I like her story, but I would have been more connected if she was the bitch from the first movie, you know. But whatever. But all I know is they wanted Charlie dead. Like that's how I knew. Like like if I was in the world, like in this world, I knew Charlie was gonna win because they wanted her dead so bad. Like they wouldn't have been trying to kill that woman if they didn't think, without a doubt, she was going to beat them in the election.
Mhm.
Like they wanted her, and I was like, they only doing this because they know they're about to lose, which was insane. What about you? What are your thoughts on Charlie?
I thought Charlie was a good character, and also, I mean, the reasoning for a character existing definitely makes sense. Like we saw throughout the second movie, not everybody was with the purge, and people wanted something different. So it only made sense that eventually it was going to be somebody to go against it. Now, I will say from the purge movies that we got, I'm not gonna lie, I thought the new Founding Fathers was like some permanent shit. I didn't think they was even allowing elections anymore. From
Right? Like I'm
like I
thinking that
thought
they
like
are the be all end all of like the government now. Like y'all have an election still. Y'all could be. Like, 'cause I wasn't thinking the new founding fathers were a political group or political
yeah, I'm
party.
thinking it's like 10 people in charge of everything type shit.
But
Like
also, they
like
had
I
power
wasn't.
for 20. They had power for 24 years. So it's like, why y'all allowing this?
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, oh, like, okay. Okay, I'm fucks with it. I'm like, yeah, if she could go against them, then, by all means, do that shit. And yeah, kind of like you, once they remove like the immunity powers for certain politicians and everything, I was like, oh yeah, she gonna win. Because like, if she wasn't, if she had no chance of winning, they wouldn't have done that shit. Especially putting them own selves at risk. The only reason they done that because they know that there is a chance. Which I'm like, the purge is only one time a year. What is
Like,
how much is actually?
it can't be helping that much.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
y'all, like, it can't be doing that. Like, it can't be with the economy,
It
and
can't
it's
be
like the
that good.
population. Apparently, it ain't working. So, like,
Yeah, which is crazy because I'm like in my head, I'm really trying to think of like what would it work like I'm sure we could definitely get like dark into it and like all the possibilities of like what, but like just as an overview, I'm like okay, let's say you take out like 1% of people, I don't know, 2%, 3%, whatever the fuck, just like arbitrary number of like the U.S. Now what? It's like it's really like now what like.
but
Like I can't.
also it's like, okay, you killed all these people, but who's gonna be there buying you buying your products like that the big companies are dishing out? Who's gonna be doing like it's I don't know, like I need to know like how bad was the country before they enacted the purge and how bad is it still doing? What I really need to know is what are the founding fathers like, what are they getting? Like what's their benefit of this? Because to kill this woman, y'all are so afraid y'all gonna lose. What are you actually losing besides the election and the purge?
You need to ask to give me a business plan like entrepreneurship class because
Yes.
I'm not seeing it. I'm definitely not seeing it.
Well, jumping back into the land of the characters, what do you think about having Leo back this time around? Outside of the obvious, he's supposed to be like 18 years older than he's.
I mean, it was good to see him. Frank Grillo, like just as we were saying, I feel like we said this with Anarchy as well. Like he's not really given any best actor, but you put him in a movie where he can fight motherfuckers, wind them up, and let him go. He doing good with that. Like he's good at what his role serves him to be. Which I mean, at this one, he was literally hired to be someone's security and protection. So, I mean, he did what he had to do. There really isn't much else. Only other thing I could say about him is like why was their chemistry like kind of good though? Like it felt
Right?
like they was going.
I I watched the kill count before I rewatched the movie, and I wish I hadn't because the fucking kill count host was just like, dude, I'm just waiting for them to fuck the entire time. And so I'm just like, what the fuck is he talking about? I never saw that. Rewatched the movie, and I'm like, okay, why are they kind of giving that we've fallen in love or in lust during this deadly during this deadly night? What old girl from the last movie, Leo? What happened to y'all? Because I was like, damn, y'all kind of cute. Like, is you gonna be the first gentleman? Like, is that what we doing here?
Oh shit!
Like, is that what we doing right now? You about to be the first gentleman? Like, come on. Okay, then.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a pretty he's pretty cookie cutter. He really did. I would say like his arc wasn't really an arc in this one. He was kind of just going through the motions in this movie, trying to protect Charlie for the most part. I felt like in the last one he had like an arc a bit with because he had a goal. But I guess protecting Charlie was his goal in this one, which there wasn't anything to sway him from that. Or like it would have been different if maybe they tried to like plant a conspiracy against her to try to turn him away so that he wouldn't protect her. Damn, I just gave us another thing here. Like just because like there wasn't nothing in the way of him besides just extra stuff to fight against for him protecting her. There wasn't never any, I would say, major conflict between the like those two. So it was just him versus the people who are versus Charlie.
I get what you mean. He was basically there to protect and serve and to make sure she survived the night.
Mm.
And they kept talking about they kept referencing. I almost made a huge mistake several years ago during Purge night, and I'm just here to pay it back. And I'm like, yeah, cool, I get it, I guess,
A couple
whatever.
years ago, 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, sir.
Truly. Um, um, but yeah, let's move on to the Purgers, and I guess we kind of talked about the new founding fathers already, but let's go to the random Purgers we saw. Now, for me, the group of girls, because I almost mentioned this when we are talking about the kill scenes and shit. They said, "Oh, we took care of our parents already. Aren't you like 16?" They look like they were like, no,
Hmm.
they definitely like at least juniors in high school. But okay, the next day. Do you have a job to take care of yourself? Are you going to be able to pay the mortgage or the rent or the car note or the bills you need to live the rest of the year?
They about to run up the credit card, the Party in USA credit card.
Like, I'm like, okay, killing your parents, it's purge, you can do that. But like, think about
It's her.
everything else. I'm like, okay, you need your mortgage or rent, pay bills, you gotta get a job. Who are you gonna put down if you plan on going to college? Who you gonna put down for the fucking the shit? Oh, my admissions letter to get scholarships is, oh yeah, I murdered my parents on purge night, and now I'm all alone. Please give me a scholarship and money. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, that low key pissed me off because while I can see it happening, I can also see the woe it's me. I'm now poor and homeless post purge night, which just pissed me off. Like, you bitches are dumb. I was so glad she mowed them down.
Oh yeah, much deserved. Um, I think for me it was the out of country purgers because I'm like, what are y'all doing?
And
As
how
we
was it
mentioned earlier,
allowed? How was it
like,
allowed? I don't
what
understand.
are y'all doing? What the fuck are y'all doing? Like, y'all are deranged for real. Like, at least motherfuckers who purge and already live here. So like that's as if it
Right?
made it better. Like, but like what then? While yes, you do have a choice. At some points, you don't have a choice, but y'all literally chose to use y'all PTO, y'all what do they call this shit? Y'all holiday to bring your asses over here and
Yes.
purge. Like,
But also, like, I mean, you know how the other countries are responding to this. Like,
yeah. And
am
now
I
y'all dead as
okay?
hell. Look at you.
Am I okay with my citizens leaving our country to go mother country? Like, yes, I get it's legal in America to go purge, but I feel like there might be some ramifications when you bring your ass back home. Like, I don't under
That's what I'm
I
thinking.
like it can't just all be you did that in America and it's legal. No, but you still did that shit. Like, I need more. I need to understand. Please help me understand.
Like, what if there's video footage of you killing somebody during the purge as an out of country person, and it comes home and
Wait,
someone and like
yes, but also, can't you be like, isn't there, you can't you be arrested for snuff films? Isn't that illegal?
that is illegal. Pretty
So
sure.
like, what if someone, like, what if you recorded yourself murdering somebody on purge night, which is legal, all that's legal, but in your country, you can't be making snuff films, and now that shit's on the internet, you could be charged for that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's legal ramifications for having people fly into the country to do purge. Like,
Mm.
and are y'all being picky with the country? Like, can people drive across the border from Mexico to come do a little purging, or is that not allowed?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
are certain countries being like, okay, we'll give you a purge pass, go to America, have fun,
Why that
like.
sound like Uber Eats pass or some shit?
But also, but could you imagine, like, okay, countries that don't like America?
Imagine the surge pricing during the purge.
Yes, but like, if there are a bunch of countries out there, there are a bunch of countries that are very anti-America that have tried to do terrorist attacks for a long time.
Well, you right.
So you're telling me that we're okay with them? Like, okay, since murder is legal right now, we're all gonna hop on a plane and just blow a bunch of buildings and shit up because it's a terrorist attack. Like, I don't need. I don't
Or
understand.
like high key, if
Wouldn't that be interesting?
some countries could have took out hella politicians.
Right? That's another thing. Another thing, I can wipe out y'all whole government because y'all making this shit legal. Excuse me? Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand. Like, you're opening it up so many possibilities, and it's just mind blowing. Like, who the fuck? I feel like they should have left the like vacate like foreign purger. They should have left that part out. That should have been cut. That because it opens up too much, and it kind of just ruins it.
Yeah.
Now, when we get to the forever purge, if there would have been like passing mentions of like, oh, other countries are considering the purge and yada yada yada, like, that would have made more sense there. But here, it just makes no sense. Because 24 years and y'all didn't think about this? The fuck? But you know what? I'm done thinking about it because they didn't. But what I do want to think about is Tuan giving us the behind the scene info and facts. Take it away, Tuan.
So the purge election year had a budget of $10 million and brought in a box office of around 118.6 million. Some interesting facts. Originally, Part 3 was intended to be a prequel telling the story of the very first Purge, but this was changed to be the fourth movie. The working title for the film was The Purge Assassins. It was later changed to Election Year midway through post production. Fits better, honestly. Assassins would have sounded weird. I would have expected a different movie with that title.
100%.
Um, Carmen JoJo was asked if she wanted to reprise her role as Eva Sanchez from The Purge Anarchy, but she declined because she wanted to move on to new things. Because the movie made a jump of 18 years after the opening scene, many fans believe the movie takes place 18 years after the Purge Anarchy. However, Frank Grillo, or Leo, clearly hasn't aged 18 years from how he appeared in Purge Anarchy. In his talk with Senator Roan, he actually confirms his son died a few years ago, so the Purge Anarchy may have taken place 1 or 2 years before at most. Since the Purge is now in its 25th year, the opening scene took place during the 7th Purge, and the Purge Anarchy possibly the 23rd or 24th. With our last fact, in Spain, the movie was named Election La Noche de las Bestias, The Night of the Beast, because the first movie was titled in the country The Purge La Noche de las Bestias. And some critics' reactions. The film currently sits at a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Washington Post gave the film 1.5 out of 4 stars, saying even Demonico seems bored by the sieges, escapes, and gun battles. Silly one-liners are the only saving grace, and that's because such acting veterans as Williamson know how to sell them.
What about them? What about us? Do we cash or pass the Purge?
I will. I think I'll cash Purge election year. I will say besides Anarchy, this is the one that I remember the most. It definitely is very rememberable, and I guess it just, like I mentioned earlier, feels like an extension of Purge Anarchy. Like, I feel like I could watch both of those back to back, and it would just feel and it feels like more of the same type of deal. So, yeah, I think I would probably give it a cash. It was pretty good.
I will also be cashing the Purge election year. Not better than Anarchy. It's good. I think the timeline thing is a bit confusing for me. But outside of that, I think it's a great story. We have a good lead character this time around as well. They made great use of Leo, and we have to see more. We get to dive into the political aspects of the Purge, which I know they ended up exploring more when it came to the Purge TV show, which I think came out right after this. I don't know if it came after the first Purge, but I do remember they dived more into the whole founding fathers thing there. So this was a good movie. This was a good watch. I feel like they keep improving and keep on giving us more with each one. But I don't remember. What I remember from the next movie, the first Purge, is that Marissa Tomei's in it, and that's the only part I remember. I'm looking forward to it. But that's for next week. Until then, good night.
If you like this episode, please be sure to check out some from the Haddonfield Horror Cemetery, where we've covered big franchises such as Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Saw, or one-off reviews like The Blackening or Hereditary. You can follow Haddonfield Horrors on Instagram and TikTok, where the host posts updates and mini reviews. Full episodes are available on several podcasting platforms, including Spotify, as well as YouTube. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. The Haddonfield Horrors podcast is produced by Mark Smart, Tawan Griffin, and Elian Cordova, themed by Lethal Injection, and edited by Mark Smart.
The Haddonfield Horror Podcast is a Letter to Media production.
Should we do an intro?